Hello, my name's Stephen Crowder. Donut. I could eat about 1.5 million of these donuts. My mama always said life was like a box of donuts. It gets stale pretty quick. That must be a terrible mug. I bet you could sip all day from a mug like that and not taste a thing. I'm glad I don't have a mug like that.
My lips hurt.
Mom always said there's an awful lot you can tell about a person by their mug. What they drunk, where they drank. I drank from lots of mugs. I bet if I could think about it real hard, I could remember my first mug. Mama said I could drink anything. She said it was my magic mug.
I'm just trying to read a book. Is there a point you're trying to get to, mister?
Well, yeah, I
was supposed to do this whole thing where this mug is part of my life story. I've been with it through thick and thin. I think I go to war, survived the war, and there's something with shrimp and a black guy.
So you're selling mugs, or?
Well, Mug Club is more than just a mug. You can join Mug Club now for $89 annually to try it for yourself for more content. Or you could go the mugless route for $9 a month, but you won't get the mug itself, but you'll still be part of the club for a little while.
Are you recording this? Where are the cameras?
It was my magic mug.
Join Mug Club today for $89 annually or try it mugless for $9 a month. You can sign up at louderwithcredit.com/mugclub for the entire catalog, including Nick DiPaolo, Brian Callen, the Hodge Twins, Mr. Guns and Gear, and of course, Alex Jones, along with 100% more of this show. Glad to be with you. That's the I'm in pain sip because Pops Crowder back there was like, hey, I didn't see you this weekend. Did you watch the fight? Smacked my shoulder. And it's like smacking a lobster, so I got a little bit,
got a little
sunburn on the Texas sun out there. Now I know. Hey, glad to be with you. Let's hit the rundown really quickly before we get to anything else. Iran. That's obviously the big story right now. Look, a lot of people want to tell you this is World War III. I'm not going to say that this is without serious consequences across the globe, absolutely. However, we need to delineate between the when, the where, the why, and clickbait. Everyone wants to get the clicks. It's a lot easier to get people to tune in if you say it's World War III. Say death to America in Persian. So that's fun. And we're talking about that. And a UFC fighter gave lessons in economics at a speech this weekend. So that and more. If at some point today you see this, head on over to Rumble because why are you watching on YouTube anyway? It's a live show, weekdays, 10 a.m. Eastern. Gerald is still being Father of the Year, so in his spot, as opposed to Captain Morgan, you know him, you love him, you thank him for his service. He's going to be at the Addison Improv tomorrow, Tuesday, Addison, Texas. JFirestine.com for all his dates. Josh, how are you, sir?
Good. I'm not as good a dad as Gerald, but I'll do my best in this chair. Yeah. There he is.
There he is.
There he is.
Well, that's Gerald C.
Gerald C.
Yeah, Captain Morgan is a great dad. That one's a Harry Chapin song.
This Gerald's going to see me naked. And
hey,
sorry.
Hey, we don't talk like that here. Yes, we do.
Yeah,
we do with great regularity. And in third chair, it's first time here in third chair. You can watch him on X, and of course you can watch him live on Rumble every day, 5:30 Eastern. Jeremy, the Quartering, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Really glad to be here. Thanks
Yes.
for having me. I
we
feel
had-
comfortable over here.
You feel what?
I feel comfortable.
Oh, I thought you said uncomfortable. That's usually the response.
Oh, well, that was before the show.
Yeah.
Now I'm
yeah.
comfortable.
Well, I know. You relieved yourself. As we all did. It's part of what you drink that much coffee. It's part of the routine. You're also a giant, so we had to adjust the camera.
Yeah, well, life generally kind of has to move around me, and I'm comfortable with that.
Yeah.
I like making people have to make adjustments.
Do people often tell you you're bigger in person than they expect?
Almost always.
Almost always, yeah.
Yeah.
I would admit, I get that. I think it's because I have a big desk, so people think I'm little. But with you, I just think, you're very. Are you 6'6"?
Very close. Usually people are first shocked that I have legs.
Yes.
And then,
I thought you were a paraplegic.
yeah, and then they're like, whoa. But it's they go a
What was
little
it?
different in the Midwest.
Are you constantly running into Bill and Ted? Whoa!
Yeah. It's generally the reaction like, hey, I think you're usually it's like, hey, aren't
Yeah.
you the quartering? And I'm like, yeah, I'm like, whoa. So
I was going
it's
to
cool.
mouth off, but I've reconsidered.
Please don't sit on me.
Yes. And you know what? Question of the day. We're going to be talking about this. It's going to be long form here today, talking about Iran quite a bit. How do you think President Trump should respond to the latest Iranian aggression? Some people say former president. Some people say sitting president. I say sitting president. Okay. Before we get to that, I don't know if you remember this. I hate to, but I kind of have to. Remember last week when there were these Palestinians or pro-Palestine, pro-Hamas protesters? They were chanting "Death to America" in Dearborn, and we made the point that people on the right who are often mischaracterized as anti-Israel, they just believe that America should look out for its own interests first and shouldn't be entangled in foreign wars. Now, that's a position to hold, an entirely legitimate position. I don't think it's anti-Semitic. And then I clarified that people on the left, my left, your right, them, or at least their position on Israel, was really because they see big devil, little devil, America and Israel, and their hatred of Israel is effectively an extension of their hatred of America. Well, we're about to get to a union member here who coaches people to actually through in translation. He's actually teaching people to be bilingually hateful, chant "Death to America," but it's time for a crowd called it.
Come, let Zoltar tell you more.
I'm gonna hit the next pitch ball right past the flag.
We're going to win the game, I guarantee.
So I think this is what I said here last week, and then we'll go to the new clip. You have people on the right who have been accused of being anti-Semitic. Some are, but a lot aren't. The idea of America first, right? They want to sort of divest from Israel because they don't believe that America, the United States, should be entangled in foreign interests. That's their position, and they're being accused of being anti-Semitic. The left, of course, also hates Israel, but for very different reasons. It's not America first. They hate Israel because they hate America. All right. I just realized my pants are dirty. I have no idea how my pants got dirty. They just came out of the wash. Do you have that with your pants?
These pants are dirty right now, but no one can see them.
Okay, well, that's fine. But no one can see these, but I know.
I thought you had a bee on your lap. You were reacting like it's some
I was
sort
like,
of.
what is this? I don't even know what kind of a.
Wow.
Some kind
Did you
of
have a Nature's Valley bar?
No, I did not have a Nature's Valley. We buy those for you, Tool Man. And by the way, limit it to 2 a day. I'm not made of. I don't have Nature Valley money.
I've been eating them.
That's fine.
I'm limited on Tim.
That's fine. You can. You're on-air talent. So. So that was what we said last week. Now, a viral video has shown this union member training people how to chant "Death to America" and "Death to Israel" in Persian, which is not a pretty language.
So I'm going to teach you a chant in Persian that you can use if you ever encounter those Zionist freaks, whether they be Iranian or whatever, all right? Now, I don't drink margaritas, but we all know what a margarita is.
Don't you love the virtue signaling before he chants for death?
So you're going to say, Marg Bar. Marg Bar Israel. Marg Bar Israel. Marg Bar Israel. Marg Bar Israel.
He's doing like a rapper.
Marg Bar Israel.
Yeah.
Marg Bar Israel. Thank you.
They're clapping.
I love he says thank you. Like he salutes. He almost says that's my time.
So, it has 2 meanings, depending on who's asking. It can mean death to or down with. So,
Can we get a Mark Bar America?
we can get a Marg Bar America. Yes, we can. Marg Bar America!
Marg Bar America!
Marg Bar America!
Marg Bar America!
Thank you.
The good news is he doesn't drink margaritas.
He probably should. He's saying America wrong.
Yes, I know. America.
Sounds drunk.
Yeah, he does. Well, he sounds like a terrorist to me.
I'm
but-
down with America, though.
Yeah, I'm down with America.
Down with America?
By the way, this was
Down with
at the Teamsters Union HQ in Chicago, and that's one of the largest unions in the United States. So 1.3 million members. They have truck drivers. They have warehouse workers. They're one of the most influential unions as far as elections, too. So, again, my question is, at what point does it become treason? Like, if you're talking about people, you want to charge them with sedition for going on a walking tour January 6th. People here chanting, death to Israel, death to America. It seems to me, and I'm not saying if you don't like America, you should get the hell out. But in this case, I kind of am, because you're shouting death to us.
Well, I think it's important that we all acknowledge that everyone in that crowd was thinking about grandma, and they were very safe. I noticed that everyone in that crowd was wearing their masks.
Yeah.
I feel like we should give them credit for that.
Well, yeah, if they want death to America, they should just take off the mask and let the spread fall where it may.
Spread the death, baby.
Yeah, just spread it.
Spread that death. That's what I've been saying that for years.
Just start licking lampposts. Mm-hmm. They still have lampposts?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I think it's 1,500 days to stop the spread.
1,500 days to stop the spread. It's just so funny. They're sitting there shouting like they're tough. Yeah, death to America. And they're wearing masks like pussies. All right. By the way, this is the last week. I forgot to tell you. Any purchase at Crowder Shop, it gives you a chance to win a custom plate carrier there from Armored Republic. CrowderShop.com. All right. Speaking of
bar overtime. There's got to be other things in that union meeting that they're chanting death to.
Right. Yeah. I don't know what else would be like. Mark bar reasonable pay, because they get Cadillac benefits. They're going to do what they think. Mark Parr, we don't get LASIK anymore. Only covered 80%. Oh, no. You know what it's like to be in the third world, you pampered pricks. So, here's someone who doesn't know what it's like to be in the third world. Brazil. Now, I'm not saying that the entire country is a third world country, but a good portion of it is. Now, after his win here at UFC 300, every now and then there's a sort of a cultural moment that kind of transcends what we may discuss here. This is a Brazilian fighter. His name is Renato Moicano. I hope I'm saying that correctly. I'm probably not. And he didn't, you'll get people who they go up and they thank God, or they'll thank their Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, which is great. You'll get sometimes people go up and say, hey, I love America. This guy decided to, with his victory speech, go into, on a micro level, economics. Basically, supply side economics. Here you go.
First of all, I love America. I love the Constitution. I love the First Amendment. I want to carry and own guns. I love property. And let me tell you something. If you care about your country, I'll read Ludwig von Mises and the 6 lessons of the Austrian economic school, motherfuckers.
Boy.
There's one guy in that crowd that he had read the book. He's like,
yeah! Yes! Yes!
You've seen that.
Austrian economics. Tell them about Adam Smith, invisible hand. Every victory is going to be new. Like, hey, read Friedman or Keynes, no Hayek. Only Keynes or Friedman or Locke. Locke is very good. I have 12 rules for life. Georgian, pitch aside. I fight for you. You say voodoo, no voodoo economics. It's real. It's supply side economics. I punch in face. It's like he really went in. And by the way, for those of you who don't know, it's a good recommendation. The Austrian School of Economics. It's not actually a physical school, in case you were wondering. It's built on, again, the theories of Adam Smith. I always recommend that you go back to Adam Smith. I think it's probably the best in understanding free enterprise principles. Ludwig von, did he say Mises?
I think he said it right.
Yeah, I think he said it really. He said it right. The 6 lessons include. It really just talks about economics, free enterprise. How the government intervention creates red tape. It's economic policy, thoughts for today and tomorrow. Is what you can read there. It's popular with libertarians. Ron Paul is a counselor of the Mises Institute. So pretty big deal, the book. Pretty big deal for a UFC fighter to talk about this. Not to be confused with O.J. Simpson's upcoming book, 6 Ways I Would Have Done It, to be released posthumously, of course. So, yep. And spoiler alert, we read it. And it kind of zagged.
No gloves.
And the 6 lessons, by the way, by this Austrian, it actually became a cultural phenomenon in Brazil, and that came from the public's frustration with the government's, sort of mismanagement of the economy. Of course, Lula's first-term policies. So it's something you're seeing a groundswell in Brazil. I would keep my eye on it. It's just interesting to see a fighter do this.
He really packed a lot into that. He had about 10 seconds, and he used every bit of it.
Yes.
And I do think, and I hope it did inspire people to understand a little bit about how the government can't create jobs.
Right.
It's extracting wealth from society. Very simple stuff, but I'm here for it. I'm here for more UFC fighters doing econ 101 stuff.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun to see what happens. Also, he didn't miss the opportunity to try and pressure Joe Rogan to appear on his podcast.
Love it.
With granular detail. Here.
Second of all, I just started a podcast. It's going to be the best podcast in the business. The name is Show Me the Money. My guest will be Joe Rogan. You cannot refuse. The people want to see you on my podcast.
This Monday at 7 a.m. Eastern Time, 6 Central Time, Joe Rogan going to be on my podcast. We're going to discuss Bitcoin. And you send people from your podcast to my podcast, and I send to you. It's going to be win-win for both of us. It's my gift to you, Joe Rogan.
While he's holding Joe Rogan's hand in the microphone. You cannot refuse.
You cannot refuse.
You. I feel like I can't refuse. You're holding me.
You see what I almost killed somebody. You'll be on my show. Okay. Just talk about trying to pressure.
I think he made it the name of the podcast on the spot.
Yes, he was brilliant. He was
Show me the money.
Sure. Was going to be money talks, but the bold guy, he's take. Hola. And you can comment below. What's your favorite educational reading as far as it relates to the economics? I always recommend Adam Smith, but you can comment below. It was a lot of fun. And if you watched UFC 300, right?
I did, yeah.
It was seldom does an event live up to the hype. It was a lot of fun.
It was such a long day too. It started so early, and it was just like high octane for many, many hours. And it's rare that you get that payoff, but it was great.
It was, I don't know if I told you about this. Like, everyone's talking about the Max Holloway, Justin Gaethje fight, but to me, this Alex Pereira, the Poetan is what they call him. He got nut shot.
They call him the what? The Peloton?
Yeah, they do. Yeah. I ride my bike with 25-year-old women. The trainer, Caroline, shit off. She said we're going uphill. I said no, I can't go uphill. Too tired. So he actually, his name is Poetan. He gets nut shotted, and he kind of adjusts himself, and the ref walks in, and he slowly nudges him off, and within 10 seconds, knocked out the guy, just kicked him in the nuts. He was like, I'm in the zone, don't bother me. And the ref just kind of, all right, I got it. It was one of the scariest things I've ever seen as a grown man.
Even his nuts are afraid of him.
Yes, exactly.
We're not going to make, we're good, we're good.
My balls retracted watching him, and his didn't budge an inch.
Yeah.
So, because of fear, to be clear. That's the reason for the movement.
Balls of steel, that guy.
Effectively. Oh, I also forgot to tell you, George the Greek is going to be on the ground in Nashville tomorrow and Wednesday because there's a trial for the public release of the full Nashville manifesto. Ooh. And again, that's because of you, Mug Club pressure from you. None of this happens without you. It's $89 annually, $9 to go mugless. You don't get the mug, but you get everything else. And the investigative unit, it can't exist without you. So if you use a promo code right now, manifesto, $20 off your Mug Club subscription, $20 off for the next 48 hours. It'll be interesting to see. I don't think they'll be releasing the rest of the manifesto. I very much doubt it.
Probably not.
Yeah, protected us at all costs.
Yes, I also spoke with Gerald this morning. No word on the lawsuit from the mayor. So.
Oh, still,
yeah.
Didn't get lost in spam or anything like that?
It could be. It could be. I have an aggressive spam filter. By the way, Toolman, stop sending me pictures of prairie dogs' testicles. Okay. So
come over my way.
Can you, yeah, I'll take those.
I got you, Josh.
That is neat.
It's still funny. Even decades later, it's still funny. So Iran. Let's talk about Iran. All right. Saturday. We're going to give you the ins and outs of what happened, kind of why it happened, some of the details that I think the media is missing a little bit, and then let's have a discussion with, of course, Ginger Snap. He'll come in because this is an international issue, and that's kind of his wheelhouse. Is it World War III? You can comment below before we go into this. how drastic do you think this is? Let me first set this up. Saturday, Iran launched a direct drone missile attack on Israel.
Iran has launched a direct attack from Iranian soil towards the state of Israel.
That's got to be demoralizing when you're firing rockets into a country just to see them evaporate.
And it still looks beautiful.
And they waited 8 hours for that.
I know.
You press the button. I'm saying, oh, well, they just launched it. It'll be there in 8 hours. And
then it just gets
evaporates.
swatted out of the sky. By the way, is that same developed from the missile technology under Ronald Reagan that everyone mocked Star Wars missile defense and said would never work? Oh, that's right. Yeah, another one that the left has gotten wrong. So, World War III. I think that there's a lot of clickbait out there. Now, let me explain to you why this is a huge shift. Iran is the largest funder, supporter of terrorism globally. We've known that. We've talked about that. You can go through our previous catalog on Mug Club or on Rumble and search Iran. You'll find segments on that. So they have it's sort of been a shadow operation where they support and fund, whether it's Hamas, Hezbollah. Okay. This is a fundamental shift in that it's the first time the largest state sponsor of terrorism has directly and openly attacked Israel. It's gone from, okay, maybe circling each other a little bit to them's fighting words. That is a shift. But there are some questions here, and they're relevant. Why did Iran give such a long warning? Did the Biden administration know about this? Let it happen. What happens next? So let's go. And something also to keep in mind, I didn't have on my betting card President Trump creating the most stable international relationships that we've seen in our lifetime. Like, I thought he would be good for the economy. No new wars. We'll talk about what he did with Iran, the Iranian nuclear deal. He had it with Obama, then Donald Trump reversing, and Biden reversing. Think about this for a second. The two biggest peace agreements that we've seen in our life in 100 years with Israel and neighboring nations, no new wars. That's a big deal. There definitely is a lot of instability going on across the world right now. And it begs the question, why? What has changed? What has changed for Russia to feel so emboldened? What has changed for Iran to do this out in the open? Okay, let's go through the facts here. First, Saturday launched this massive attack on Israel. That's the first fact. 170 explosive drones. They're known as like the AK-47 of Iran, which I don't really care about, but that's a thing. 120 ballistic missiles, 30 cruise missiles, and according to Israeli officials, 99% of them were intercepted. Here is what, just because it's cool, one of those, or a couple of those interceptions look like.
יש פגיעה משתיים במטרה אופלה. אחד, שתיים, לוקח 9. יצאתי.
Wait a second.
Yeah. All references are available at louderwithcrowder.com. Links are in the description.
It's a new form of abortion I didn't know about.
Well... No, it's not. It's interceptive. It's interceptive.
Interceptive.
Just like a basketball. Yeah. If it's going up, you can hit it. If it's already in, you got to let it go. So,
the opposite of an alley-oop.
Yeah, 50% of the ballistic missiles actually even failed to launch, or they crashed on the way there. And when you see where Iran bought their munitions, it's obvious why they have such a high rate of failure.
That explains it.
That and Timu, I think.
Yes. And they're also, by the way, Jordan intercepted a number of drones and missiles. There are reports of U.S., UK. We don't know exactly, but for sure Jordan, according to the U.S. Central Command forces supported by the U.S. European Command destroyers, I'm reading this direct quote from X, they successfully engaged and destroyed more than 80 one-way attacked uncrewed aerial vehicles and at least 6 ballistic missiles intended to strike Israel from Iran and Yemen. Okay. So why did Iran do this? And I think it's important because what's going to happen is if you say that Israel has a right to defend itself, the left or people who are, I guess, supporters of Iran, I guess those people still exist, apparently. Not people in Iran, just to be clear. The people of Iran hate their government. They want to wear bikinis again. But
I'd love them to do that too.
It would be nice.
Swing. Oh man, it was a good time.
It was a good time.
Alive for it, but it was a good time.
Persian women, Jasmine was based on a real person.
Oh yeah,
she's a babe.
Yep,
real babe.
Yep. Also, Ariel was based on a member of the IRA.
Oh,
so
that's why she was so feisty.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
All right.
So the Cranberries were singing about. So why did this happen, though? It does matter because Iran will claim, well, actually, this was not an offensive. This was a retaliatory action. They would claim that it was in response to Israel destroying the Iranian consulate in Damascus, Syria. That's their claim.
Iran is pledging revenge tonight, accusing Israel of attacking its embassy complex in Syria and reportedly killing at least 7 Iranian military officials. That includes a top general. The airstrike comes as Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu faces growing pressure.
I don't really know if we're saying like top general.
Yeah,
we're talking about them.
Doesn't even have a name.
No.
So how top is he?
Yeah, I'm not that. I can't be.
I think he's a bottom general, to be honest.
Yeah, that's what I think. At best, he's a power bottom general.
Yes, powerful man from Iran.
Yes, powerful bottom. No one is better at. But when it comes to power bottom, I'm tops. Okay, that's fine. No gays in your country either, right? Okay. So you have officials from Iraq, Jordan, Turkey. They said that Iran informed them of the attack prior to it taking place. According to a Turkish official, Washington was also aware of the attacks. So this is what they wrote at the Jerusalem Post, I believe. They wrote, Washington had conveyed to Tehran via Ankara that any action it took had to be within certain limits. Now, of course, the former Vice President Biden administration denied this. I don't know that I believe them just because of history pretty much always.
This happens a lot where there's like everybody has to save face and then it's 2 weeks later. I'm more inclined to believe that this was like, all right, we'll give you 200, but not more. You can fire 200 missiles.
Right.
A bunch of them have to be crappy and fail.
Yes.
But then you can tell your people that you got them.
Yeah, you got them. And that does seem to be do we have the clip here? I know we had a clip of them, of Biden saying that there would be no retaliatory action. I don't know if we still have that. If you guys can grab it for me. Did I miss it? I don't think that I did miss it, but it was a very
clip of him saying "don't."
No, that's a different one. Maybe Lane Gingersnap, you can send it in, where they were talking about how the Biden administration said they will, issue to Israel, we will not be aiding in any retaliatory action. Like, what happened to moral, like just strategic ambiguity? That's something like you don't come out and say, like, by the way, we're definitely not going to help. You're on your own. We're not going to. You just say, hey, by the way, we really think that there shouldn't be a retaliatory action, unless it's warranted.
Well, Iran immediately came out too and like, okay, we're done.
Yeah, exactly.
We're done.
Biden, she's like, yeah, that's good. You guys are done. So Israel, just, leave them alone unless they act up again.
Like a mob threat?
Yeah. We don't want to take part in this.
Sure would be a shame if something happened to that.
Exactly.
I mean, unless the right opportunity came along. Who's to say? I don't have a crystal ball. Don't say we're not going to do anything. So this brings us to kind of where we are and why you see the instability in Iran. Let's do a new installment of Then and Now. All right, so back then. Okay, let's compare Donald Trump, Biden. We'll throw in Barack Obama into this mix. May 2018, then President Trump pulled out of the Joint Comprehension Plan of Action, JCPOA for short, or just call it the Iran deal. There's no good acronym for it. And he reimposed some very heavy sanctions on Iran. The Iranian economy suffered $1 trillion in damages. So you may not like former President Trump, if you say that. Sorry, some people say former president, some people say sitting president. I say sitting president, okay? But let's compare that to now. Biden removed the Trump-era sanctions on Iran. You have in October 2023, they unfroze $6 billion in Iranian oil revenue. I don't know why you unfreeze any money to the largest funder of terrorism globally. Maybe you can comment below as to why that is the case. I know some people say, well, we can't be the world police. Sure. But if you are funding terrorism on a global scale more than anybody else, I think that warrants us saying, yeah, we're not going to give you your $6 billion back on account that you keep funding terrorism.
That's a lot of faulty missiles they can buy.
Yes, exactly. It's a lot of shitty short-range firecrackers. I thought you were about to say something, Josh.
Yeah, I lost it.
Okay, that's fine.
It was something not worth it, but so they got that money then.
Iran has the money.
It's in their hands.
It's been unfrozen. Yeah, it's in process.
Oh, okay.
The wheels are in motion.
Checks in the mail.
Sure.
Yeah,
gotcha.
Also, under Biden, we gave up 5 Iranian prisoners. Don't know why. I would say keep the prisoners, keep the money, and tell them to start acting right. Now, I don't know if you remember this, back in 2016. The Obama administration, this was the big deal, right? They sent $1.7 billion as part of the Iran deal, including $400 million in cash. I don't know if the rest was by check
EBT, Venmo.
Why send them anything? It's not one of those issues where you say the enemy of my enemy is my friend. No. There's no reason at all for us to be entangled with Iran. Right now it's only bad. It's bad for the people of Iran, and it's bad for the people of the world at large. Discounting Israel entirely right now. There's no reason to do it other than appeasement, and that's based on ideology. Let's also go back to then, July 2018. The situation was escalating with Iran. What did Trump do, President Trump? He issued this very specific threat to the Iranian president. He said, and this was from his, I guess I have to take a sip here. The Iranian president, Rouhani, he put this out. He said, "Never, ever threaten the United States again, or you will suffer the consequences, the likes of which few throughout history have ever suffered before. We are no longer a country that will stand for your demented words of violence and death. Be cautious.
Cuidado.
Be cautious." That's how he ends it with that. Be cautious.
Like it's a wet floor sign or something.
Like it's a PSA.
Yeah.
He's basically saying we're going to kill all of you. Be careful. Watch your step. December 2019 to January 2020. This was, I don't know if you remember this, the Iran-backed Kataib Hezbollah, right? Hezbollah killed an American contractor, Iran-backed militias who stormed the United States Embassy in Baghdad. In response to that, President Trump authorized the killing of the Iranian general, Soleimani. You may not remember he was an Iranian general because no one really cares about their title, but Soleimani, you remember that name, January 2020.
Last night, at my direction, the United States military successfully executed a flawless precision strike that killed the #1 terrorist anywhere in the world, Qasem Soleimani. We took action last night to stop
God, I miss him.
a war.
I know.
We did not take action to start a war.
Better than his statement. Well, actually, I don't think it is better. Let me know which one you like, but that statement or the one where he talked about al-Baghdadi. He said, he died like a dog.
That one's the best. That one's the best.
He died like a cheap whore. In the gutter with no love, they say. No one to love him. Whores have more love. So, this brings us to now. Biden allowed the UN sanctions on Iranian drones and missiles to expire. It's almost like there's a direct consequence to that. April 12th, Biden issued this compared to that threat you saw from Donald Trump. Very harshly worded letter to Iran about Israel.
Mr. President, what is your message to Iran in this moment?
Don't.
Yeah.
See.
What a loser!
Don't.
The economy of words on this man is unmatched.
It really is. Don't.
Yeah. He just distilled it.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, could you clarify as to why?
Because.
No?
Not a joke.
I mean, there is something to be said for, there is a little bit of posturing, but you need to posture internationally. That's the language these guys speak, especially when you're dealing with demented circus monkeys like these Iranian generals, for crying out loud. Don't. They're sitting back. They can't breathe. They're laughing so hard.
He probably already knew. I don't know what the timeline is.
Right.
I feel like, Biden didn't know, but whoever's making the decisions already knew that this attack was going to happen. I suspect.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And he was probably shocked when he heard about it. Huh? But I said don't.
Whoa.
You mean they did?
I was on vacation.
Mr. President, Iran has just attacked Israel.
Who?
What?
Who's Iran?
Did they think I said do? I said don't. But they did. Can we call them and say that I said don't?
But there are less Oreos in the bag. Didn't you tell them that?
Yes. Corporations. That's the problem. They're killing Jews. Oh, I better say stop. Stop it.
Forgive more loans.
Stop. It didn't work. What do I do? Please.
What do I say? What else do I say?
Tell him about Corn Pop.
Yeah, tell him about the bad dude, Iran. You don't want to deal with Corn Pop. You got the Corn Pop, the honeycombs. And you wonder why the world is blowing up? All right. This brings us to another key fact. The Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu declared that Israel will respond to the attack.
קבעתי עיקרון ברור. מי שפוגע בנו, אנחנו פוגעים בו. אנחנו נגן על עצמנו מול כל איום, ונעשה זאת בקור רוח ובנחישות. אני יודע שגם אתם, אזרחי ישראל, שומרים על קור רוח. אני קורא לכם לשמוע להנחיות פיקוד העורף.
For those of you who are listening on audio, whether it's Spotify or Google or Apple, we're available there. Basically, I'll just translate. Doesn't like Iran.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Eye for an eye.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
It's Jewish speak for screw those guys. So, actually, the Israeli minister of diaspora sent this out saying we must treat every missile attack on Israel as though each projectile had hit its intended target. Our response should be guided by the enemy's intentions rather than solely by our defensive capabilities. And I do think that's important. Look, true. You can't simply blame someone because they're successful in defending themselves. And this is something you see a lot, certainly as it relates to Palestine and Israel from the left. They see the entire world as oppressors and the oppressed. It doesn't matter that the only place in that cesspool of the world that has a gay pride parade would be Israel. It doesn't matter that's the only place where people have anything even remotely resembling civil rights. Not perfect. The government is certainly far from perfect, but if you compare it to everywhere else in that area of the globe, it doesn't matter to the left because Israel has properly apportioned their funds to defend their own people with something like the Iron Dome. They have technology. The other people are less effective. Therefore, they must be oppressed. It doesn't matter that Black Lives Matter here in the States burned down entire city blocks, causing over $2 billion in damages because their skin is black, and at some point throughout history, they believe that they have been oppressed to a degree that warrants this kind of behavior. It doesn't matter. Hey, it doesn't matter if they're stealing your merchandise and running your business into the ground to the point that you have to close. They have the right to steal $999 worth because they're poor and you have enough money to own a shop. It doesn't. Successful, you're bad. It's this automatic rooting for the underdog, even if the underdog is evil. That's why I do think it's important to keep in mind Israel has the right to defend itself based on the proportionality of the attack, not on the effectiveness of the attack because they have good defenses. I do think that's a valid point. I don't necessarily know how effective this attack was, especially considering they gave this very long warning. Seems like a lot of posturing, seems like a lot of saber rattling. I'm sure it doesn't matter if Israel takes any action. After today, someone's going to call for a ceasefire. You can't just launch, this is my point, 200 plus explosives and then just say, even Stevens, ceasefire without retaliation.
Hey, ceasefire, guys, ceasefire. Hey, the force runs through us all. Ceasefire.
I know we all fell asleep.
Yeah.
By the way,
that guy was cut in half right after that.
Yes, he was. Was it by his own retarded two-sided lightsaber?
You fucking crazy, dude.
Is it like Creed, where it's so bad that now it's cool again?
No, not.
Is that what it is?
Creed's still not cool.
Is Creed still not cool? I don't know, but
it was like when Linkin Park dropped that album with Jay-Z.
Yeah, that's
You're
right.
like, what?
Yeah.
A black guy on this song? That's awesome.
Yeah, it was like the 9/11 of albums.
Black? Yeah. Why? Because it was fire. It melted steel beams.
Apparently, they're becoming cool again. Kids see those as the originals. You know what? I wasn't planning on discussing. Comment below if you actually think that the prequels are good in Star Wars.
Pretty racist in those prequels, like the.
I don't want to find racism wherever it doesn't exist. But you're like this used pod race scam artist. He's clearly meant to be a Jew.
He's very Jewish. It looks like Netanyahu, to be honest with you. If we could pull it up, that would be great. But they had like all these stereotypical, like the Trade Federation people. They were fish and they had Japanese accents.
Yeah, Japanese accents.
Like they were walking sushi. It was up, dude.
It was bizarre.
This
is not how we defend the Republic.
That's exactly how they sound. You say you don't like Star Wars, but you nailed it.
I don't like Star Wars, but I also have intense dislike for the Japanese people.
Aha.
All right, guys, I'll watch it. All right. Racism, stereotypes.
Yeah.
Well, all right. You've struck oil.
Natalie Portman. Yeah.
She was a bad actor back then.
She was a bad actor always.
Oh.
I don't care that she played an angry Hobag in Black Swan. Whatever it was. Was she a lesbian? Black Swan? It's a lesbian, right?
I don't know. At least Mila Kunis was.
Oh, that's right.
There was a weird scene.
I just remember her doing this. That was an advertisement. And I was like, give her the Oscar. What?
And she's getting movie roles and I'm not?
Yep, she is.
Horse manure.
Well, you know why the old Natalie Portman's getting the movie roles.
Because she changed her name. It used to be something super heave.
Yes. It was either be a doctor or this. So this brings us to the United States involvement. Oh, this is you know what, right here. I see it now in the rundown. The clip. Former Vice President Biden told Netanyahu that the U.S. will not support, in no uncertain terms, any type of a response.
The president met with his national security team in the Situation Room for roughly 2 hours Saturday before a phone call with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, in which a senior administration official tells NBC News the president reaffirmed his commitment to Israel's security while making clear the U.S. will not participate in its response to Iran.
Why make that clear? Make it as murky as possible. Keep them on their toes. That's all Donald Trump really did. His skill was just kept you guessing. He was just flicking that jab out there like, I don't think I'm going to do anything. No look jab, Syria. Oh, what happened? I have no idea. Your nose looks bad. Iran, I'm watching you. I have eyes in the back of my head. Iraq, you're not very effective anymore. Hamas! Just saying your name to make sure you're paying attention. I don't plan on doing anything. But plans change, life changes, comes at you fast. If you don't bomb some shitholes every now and then, you could miss it.
Hey, those aren't shitholes, Steven.
Come on.
Don't be so offensive.
Yeah. No, let's not call Iran a shithole. That would be an affront to holes of shit. And I say that because I feel bad for the people of Iran. You think that maybe you're siding with the people of Iran versus the people of Israel. No, you have the people of Israel, you have the government of Israel, and then you have the people of Iran and their government. So let's be really, really clear. There are gross violations of human rights taking place in Iran. Emboldening their administration, their government officials, if you want to call it that, doesn't help anybody. Biden also added in the call with Netanyahu, he said this. He said, you got to win. Take the win. The win is having drones and missiles and just, it's like someone swinging and you pull back. It's like, you're ahead in the cards. Run away.
I think it's hilarious that they say, okay, well, we stopped 99% of them. Let's just, for easy math, say it was 1,000, right? So you have, like a small percentage, but what got hit? Well, let's say it was his family's house. Would he have reacted the same way?
Right.
Or the one that got through if it hit a government building?
Right.
So I think you have to respond. But Biden's losing the progressive vote rapidly with being involved in the Middle East, and that's what him saying, "Oh, we're not going to do it."
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
He's worried about losing the squad vote.
Yeah, he's worried about losing the Death to America chanters.
Correct.
Yes.
Those are the people. They have too much of a stranglehold on that party. You'd like to think it's some crazy fringe, but it's not. That's the reason he's losing support in his own party.
Well, not only just the chanters, but the unions.
Right.
I mean, these are the people teaching them the chants. These are the people that are talking about this in their union meetings.
Yeah.
Dearborn, Michigan's going to cost them the state. Right. At this point, it's that important. So they're looking.
Do you think that'll happen in Minneapolis with the
Somalis?
Yeah, the pirates.
I mean, look, I hope so.
They might. I don't know. When it comes,
I don't know how they vote, but I know that Dearborn's not voting for Biden.
I think they say that now it's a protest vote, but I think when it comes down to a general election, like in Minneapolis, they'll hold their nose and vote. Arr.
If they just abstain, it's a win.
Yes.
So that's my hope.
Yeah.
They're not going to go vote for the Orange Man bad.
Right.
But if they just don't show up, I'm fine with that too.
Yeah, I think you could be
that close.
Yeah. It's a tough place for him to be in, and this is the problem with not having a very clear stance internationally. And here's the other problem. When people talk about World War III, it's not lost on me that this could be a problem with Russia, China, right? Unlikely alliances. For example, Russia, China hated each other. Now with this sort of conflict, they've become strange bedfellows to a degree. I wouldn't go as far as to call them allies necessarily, but they've certainly moved closer together. If you have this trifecta of Russia, Iran, China, right? The enemy of my enemy is my friend. That could be a problem. That definitely could create some global instability, and I think will certainly result in a conflict in the Middle East. The leap from that to World War III is a little bit tough. So Russia, let's start with them. They kind of supported Iran's attack at the UN.
What happened in the night of the 14th of April did not happen in a vacuum. The steps undertaken by Iraq became a reaction to a disgraceful inaction by the Security Council. And a reaction to an egregious attack by Israel against Damascus, and not the first one, because Syria is constantly being bombarded by Israel.
But Syria sucks.
Yeah. I thought that was known.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, what, are you surprised?
I'm in knowledge.
It's a hotbed for assholery. Like, don't just like, oh, Syria's under. Well, hold on, provide some context there. Why would there be conflict with Syria? Now, what did China do? They kind of called for restraint to prevent any kind of added escalation here, but they didn't pressure Iran to not attack. And so this does leave us with a lot of questions. What will the fallout be? I'm concerned. I definitely am concerned, but I think that for people to go out and say World War III is starting is irresponsible. And you do see a lot of people on both the left and the right at a certain point, it's just about clicks. You're not going to get through the algorithm if you say, well, you know what, hold on a second. There was a lot of warning beforehand. It seems like a lot of people knew about this. If they wanted to cause more damage, they could have. This seems like a little bit of saber rattling. Israel does have the right to defend itself. We have to be concerned about these different alliances. That doesn't get you a lot of clicks. What does is World War III is about to pop off.
Great. Now I have to change the title of my first video today. Steve.
I apologize.
You shamed me into it.
I forgot.
It's all caps, too.
Is it all caps?
Yeah.
Well, World War III has to be caps. But is the rest caps?
Everything's
That was a creative decision on your part.
I also scream the entire video.
Do you?
Yeah. It's now I have to. People knocking on my door at the hotel because they thought, what's happening.
Yeah.
Now I have to put that whole.
Well,
video.
also I posted your hotel address online, everywhere.
Well, look,
everyone knows. I said there was a cabana party at your hotel.
Backfired because they sent a bunch of pizzas. I just ate them.
Yeah.
So
well, I don't know if you know that, but that poison in those pizzas, it has a fuse. So good luck tomorrow. We're going to bring in. Actually, now you guys love him. He's a ladies love him. So we'll take the chat. The ladies, keep it appropriate in the chat. It's time to bring out our international specialist, Lane Ginger Snap. All right, Ginger Snap, grab the mic. There you go. How you doing, sir?
Good to be here. Circumstances considered.
Yeah. What does that? Well, what does that mean, sir?
Well, I'd rather there not be a missile barrage aimed at Israel, but
yeah,
you win some, you lose some.
In this case, it doesn't seem like anybody's winning anything.
No,
Iran's definitely losing. I think.
I think they will be losing.
I think they will be losing. At this point, I'd say it's kind of a wash. It's kind of a scratch. Oh, I'm going to move.
That's embarrassing, though, to launch that many punches and miss.
Yeah, it is. Well, let me ask you this, Lane. Why do you think Iran gave this kind of advanced warning before this?
Well, I think it's what you and I were talking about before, is that they feel the need, after Israel bombed the consulate in Damascus and killed all the IRGC members, they have to do something to look tough for their proxies, for Hezbollah, to, the revolutionary kind of Islamic world that they're supporting. If they do nothing, well, they all of a sudden lose a lot of credibility. But at the same time, I think they wanted to couch it and make sure that nobody actually got killed to elicit sort of that fire and fury response, so to say.
Well, yeah, because they also sent slow-moving drones.
Yeah.
Like, these are not their only options.
No, if you're going from Tehran to Jerusalem, it's like 6 hours. It's hours worth of prep time. And they're, very low-tech sort of devices that they were using too. I mean, they sent a couple ballistics and cruise missiles too, but they had a lot more to offer if they wanted to use that tactic.
Well, so let me ask you, because you said that you thought that maybe you and I disagree on this a little bit, but what is your position on this? We know what the social media position is.
Yeah.
World War III, absolutely, here we go.
No, and after hearing you go through it a little bit more in that last segment, I don't think we're really that far apart. I am concerned. I think there's all these nodes that could start connecting, especially like you said, with the growing relationship between Iran and Russia, and then China basically propping up both economies by buying oil from them and weapons transfers between them all. There is this connecting starting to happen, and so it could happen. But I think oftentimes people confuse a big war for a world war. We had Vietnam, we had Korea, we had Desert Storm. Those are huge wars. That doesn't necessarily constitute a world war, but World War III, like Jeremy said, it's good for titling.
Thanks for saying my name. I was getting lost in your eyes, and it brought me back to.
I know.
Well, I appreciate that.
Well, it's because he's so white. All you see are his eyes when he's under the spotlight.
Yeah. Well, it was like two glowing orbs. And I heard World War III, and then I heard my name.
Yeah, I know. It shocked you back in. You're like, I got to create another title.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I got to change. Thanks for reminding me.
So, do you think it would necessitate Russia, China, Iran joining for it to even be considered a global conflict as opposed to more of a regional one?
I think either Russia or China would have to do something more extreme in their peripheries to constitute something like a world war. And I think if there's an invasion of Taiwan or Russia were to move past Ukraine into the NATO states or especially into Western Europe, then we would start seeing major movement and connection that I think would, necessitate us using that phrase.
A lot of pieces would have to fall into place. And I'll be honest, I don't think that Russia really wants to do that right now. I think they have a problem with you. I don't think they want to move. For example, people were fear-mongering that they want to go into Poland. That just seems very unlikely to me.
Yeah.
With Russia. As far as China, they're assholes.
That guy said so.
Yes, he said so. So it could go either way. Well, let me ask you guys this, and I'd love to see people in the comments. What do you think as far as Israel, where they are as far as their response? Should they respond? Do they have a right to respond? What level of force is appropriate? What do you think?
Yeah, I think the Iranians really miscalculated on this. And I think the Israelis have found themselves in a very existential position since October 7th, and everything has changed since then. And I think they realized they can no longer kind of piecemeal together this defense. But Iran launching this attack, I think it is going to give Israel just enough cover that it needed to go in. And if I were them, I would go in and knock out every single piece of installation or brain trust, whatever, linked to Iran's nuclear program.
Their nuclear capabilities.
Because everyone's making this comment. They're like, what is Israel? Well, I guess what the Iranians said, we achieved what we wanted. It's done and over. And Biden's like, a win is a win, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
What does that even mean?
In the short term, I think objectively, if Israel does nothing, it probably is a more stable region.
Right.
But I also think long term, all that does is give Iran more time to pump up its nuclear capabilities for Hezbollah and Hamas to regroup. And I think you're just kind of kicking the carton down the road.
Yeah.
Because eventually these groups do not want Israel to exist.
Right.
So it is within Israel's interest to get rid of that capability because Iran already can enrich enough uranium to have weapons-grade uranium for a nuclear weapon within a week.
Right.
Thanks to, Biden's awesome policies.
Well, Barack Obama's the one who started it, yeah.
Obama, messed up on a lot.
He did. He messed up on a lot. We have 8, 4, and 3 now, and you see a continuation of Obama's policies, and you see how Iran behaved very differently. Not only Iran, but think about this. Under Donald Trump, everyone said he's unstable. That was the big thing. With Donald Trump, you're going to get World War III. Yeah. Russia didn't make any movement when Donald Trump was president. They did under Barack Obama's administration. They did under Biden. Think about Iran didn't start acting up. Even North Korea kind of slowed down. They're always firing off some Roman candles or shit. But aside from that, they really sort of played they tried to Eddie Haskell it a little bit and play nice, or at least appear to be playing nice. We really did have more stability internationally.
China was quiet.
China, yeah. Why? Because basically said, well, we're gonna go after your economy with China. And then in 3 years, I don't think we've seen this number, I could be wrong, of new conflicts since the immediate sort of post 9/11 era.
Yeah, even the people that are not fear mongers in this situation will say this is the most unstable time on the globe since World War II.
Yeah.
Just because there's so many major powers with major capabilities starting to feel ambitious because they don't feel any sort of a threat, especially from the United States.
The problem is Israel's going to have an optics problem, right? I mean, if a single innocent person is harmed, people are going to use it as an excuse to say, see, Israel it's not commensurate with what happened. No one was hurt. Well, it doesn't matter that no one was hurt. What was that?
To be fair, that hasn't stopped them yet.
Right. It hasn't stopped them yet, but I mean, really, if you want to say to be sort of commensurate with Hamas, they'd have to rape and decapitate old men and women and children, right? They would have to do that. It's different from a war. So here, it's the fact that they were able to defend themselves because they've invested in defending their people rather than constantly attacking other people, unlike Iran, unlike Hamas, unlike Hezbollah, can't be counted as a demerit against them, but they'll have an optics problem because I think a big reason is they're able to be so specific, right? They're able to be so detailed, so targeted with their defense. So people apply that and say, well, you should be able to do that if you're going after targets in Iran. It's not the same thing as protecting your own country. They need to be very targeted, go after, like you said, nuclear facilities, military bases where they are insured, or as close as they can possibly get to mitigating, civilian lives lost. If they do that, maybe that'll kind of put an it wouldn't put an end to it, but maybe people wouldn't be so rabidly anti-Israel if they just
can't
go.
They can't do anything.
No, you don't think they can do anything?
No, because I get it. Everything you're saying is right, but they're already in one war,
right? And
starting another one isn't, like you said, optically. It doesn't look great. I'm not saying they don't have a right to, and I'm not saying that I'm just saying you kind of got one war going on right now. I think it was just saber rattling this back and forth. Now, if Iran does if it launches another attack, okay, fine.
Right.
But I think most people see this as, people who aren't emotionally attached to one side or the other see this as, this is another, hey, clear out this military base, we're going to bomb it, so our people, feel like we're doing something good. This kind of thing happens all the time. If they do it again or there's another escalation, okay, fine. But I'm not saying it's right. I just mean...
No, I agree with you. It's just interesting, like the verbiage that people use. Like, if Israel starts a war, it's like, well, hold on a second. The people who launch the drones and missiles, isn't that kind of an act of war?
That's what they said.
Even if it's an ineffective one.
And they say it's because Israel attacked first. That's what they say.
Syria.
Because of the consulate in Syria. That's what they'll come back to.
Right.
But... Oh, sorry, Josh.
No, that's pretty much. I mean, they'll come back to that, and then launch the missiles, tell you they're going to launch them, give you adequate time to shoot them down, and then say you're the aggressor,
right?
And that you're the because you're on top.
Yeah,
you killed their 7 people. You took out their consulate. They tried to fire back. They couldn't. Now you're the winner. You're the oppressor.
Right.
Easy peasy to spin that.
Right. It's the victim hierarchy.
Yes.
It's just like domestic politics translated onto the international stage, but. The one thing I will say is if people are paying a little bit closer attention, is that Israel's starting to get a couple propaganda wins behind the scenes that aren't really being reported because the anti-American left and sort of that anti-Semitic hard right, that horseshoe that's starting to meet up at the top, are very loud and very rewarded by the Twitter algorithm.
Mm-hmm.
But within the last week, Hamas has had to revise the death count down by 10,000 civilians.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of got lost. And also with this war, it would be starting a new war, kind of, but really Iran's the one that supported this whole war in the first place. So
that just came from a Saudi source. I don't know if they can bring it Mission Control, where it was reported that Iran actually helped orchestrate and fund the October 7th attacks.
Yeah, it was a member of the Saudi royal family giving an interview to Israeli media that said they blamed them for the state sponsor of terrorism, and they basically insinuated that Saudi Arabia and Israel were very, very close to normalization, and the Iranians don't want that because they want to frame this as an Islamic versus Jewish thing, and it's really not that. Most of the Arab world doesn't really care about the revolution ideas that Iran wants to export. They want a good economy,
right?
And being friendly with Israel is a lot better than being friendly with Iran when it comes to that.
Yeah, no, and I don't know if we were able. I know it's just sort of being reported on, but it was actually someone who seems authoritative on the source.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean his information is correct, but it's interesting to hear that.
I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yes.
It does make sense. And this is kind of, think about this. If you were to say, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, Saudi Arabia and Israel, they're going to be saying, are both joining, I guess I don't want to say joining forces, but both sort of in an alliance against Iran.
Yeah.
That would have been something that a lot of people would have said you were crazy.
I would have.
Yeah. And I think what even supports that claim from the Saudi royal family is that it's now pretty well understood that the Saudis helped shoot down a lot of these projectiles coming from Iran towards Israeli airspace.
Yeah.
Why would a bunch of Muslims support these Zionist, pigs if it was really about a struggle between ideologies?
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. And then finally, you know what? We're going to discuss this a little bit more on Mug Club, specifically what it means for the United States election. Jeremy had a good point there, talking about how they have to appease the radical left. I don't even think they're the radical left. I just think they're a significant portion of the Democratic Party today. Mm-hmm. And you are, of course, 5:30 weekdays.
5:30 Eastern.
Rumble.
On Rumble. Tune in.
Yep.
Crowder got you covered all up in the morning, and then everything that happened during the day, I'll get you caught up at the end of the day.
Well, that's because he's a big man. He needs his beauty sleep, so he does it later in the day.
It was not easy getting here on time, and I was still I was only 5 minutes away, and I woke up and I was like, oh no.
I know. It's a primary complaint that we get here. By the way, I'm going to go check your hotel room, and I better be able to bounce a nickel off that bed. If you're watching on Rumble, you can click below, join Mug Club. And if you're watching on YouTube, you know how this goes. We're going to continue with Ginger Snap and play Pokemon or Racial Slur.
My favorite.
YouTube Piss Off.
I usually don't like asking you to join Mug Club and let the content speak for itself, but I need help because my health isn't doing so great. On account of Jenny. so I didn't think about health insurance. But you can help by joining Mug Club for $89 annually at ladderwithcredit.com/mugclub. That'll help pay for some of the chemo. I have cancer too.